So, in the book Dante's Inferno, the lowest part of the ninth circle of hell is reserved for traitors. Yes. At the very, very bottom of hell, in the mouth of Satan himself, are the three biggest traitors in history.
Yeah.
There's Brutus and Cassius, who killed Julius Caesar, and there's Judas Iscariot, who sold out Christ.
Yeah.
The three of them are dangling in the mouth of Satan as he chews them for all of eternity. That was the worst punishment Dante could come up with.
Yeah.
Apparently this week, we now also have a fourth person who's dangling over the mouth of Satan. Kyle Rittenhouse, ironically enough. This brings us to the story of Kyle Rittenhouse of Cards. What was
By the way, did you make that?
I did.
That is so awesome.
It's a great opening, by the way.
Yeah,
excited to hear it.
What was apparently the next greatest betrayal in all of American politics, on par with Benedict Arnold giving over West Point to the British. This will certainly go down in history as one of the worst things that has ever happened. And it was over after 12 hours.
Yeah.
So for those of you who may remember, Kyle Rittenhouse was a kid, I believe he was about 17 at the time, during a giant riot in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
BLM.
BLM riot, after the police shot Jacob Blake, a guy who is a known criminal who was attempting to get into a car with children in it, armed with a knife, when the cops shot him, and he didn't even die. So, you know, certainly someone worth rioting over. Kyle went to go help, do some cleanup. There was a riot. He brought the gun with him. He ended up shooting 3 people to dispel the common notion that he's some kind of white supremacist. Everybody he shot was white, and 2 of them were sex offenders.
Yeah, I remember one of them being a sex offender, and everybody was outraged that he shot a sex offender. And I went, wait a minute.
Rob, one of them was not only a sex offender, one of them was a pedophile. The other one was a sex offender, and the other guy,
the third one had some kind of criminal record as well.
So guess what? If you're gonna randomly shoot 3 people, hey, great job.
So yeah, Kyle fired into a crowd of people, and 2 out of the 3 people he hit were sex offenders. Shows you what kind of people were there for that.
Yeah,
event.
exactly.
But, obviously he was put on trial for murder, even though it was a pretty clear cut and dry case of self-defense. The first guy went after him with his fists. Second guy went after him with a skateboard. Third guy was pulling a gun.
Yeah.
Pretty open and shut.
Yeah.
But in the ensuing process, he sort of became a right-wing folk hero. The kid who was trying to do the right thing, used his Second Amendment rights to defend himself. That led him to meet Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. He went with his family. They got a photo op together. He was on Tucker Carlson's show back when Tucker was on Fox. He was a Turning Point USA keynote speaker a couple times. Kyle basically punched his ticket on the right with this incident, and a platform grew around him. And at the time, I remember this was right around when I first started working in media, I said something to the effect of, be careful trying to build a platform around this normal guy. It's not like he was out looking to make a name for himself.
Yeah.
It was a kid who ended up defending himself and then was on trial for murder. That's not someone to, build a huge platform for or put up on a pedestal. This is just a normal guy who ended up in a bad situation. Well, last week we saw the end result of that. Kyle posted this video on his social media.
Okay, so this was okay, go for it.
Hi, I'm Kyle Rittenhouse, Outreach Director for Texas Gun Rights. A lot of people are upset that I said I'm going to be writing in Ron Paul for President of the United States. And that is true. I will be writing in Ron Paul. Unfortunately, Donald Trump had bad advisors making him bad on the Second Amendment, and that is my issue. If you cannot be completely uncompromisable on the Second Amendment, I will not vote for you, and I will write somebody else in. We need champions for the Second Amendment, or our rights will be eaten away and eroded each day. I support my decision, and I have no takebacks.
No takebacks.
Great, so you're just going to waste your vote.
Yes.
You're going to write somebody in who has no shot.
I never understand.
Gonna write in Ron Paul, and here we end up with the ridiculousness of the libertarian mindset on most things of, I'm gonna stand by my principled take on voting for a third party candidate. Great, you're gonna make sure Kamala Harris becomes the next president.
Good job.
And then what happens to all our gun rights? But the reaction against Kyle for this was equally as stupid, and that is what I'm here to argue, because immediately the hardcore right-wing group, particularly the MAGA base, but just the right in general, turned on him in an instant.
Yeah.
And I have a compilation here of some of the things that happened. I call out Cat Turd specifically.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar
I
with
love
him,
him.
but he's sort of the quintessential right-wing boomer mentality on social media. He has a huge following. He does, pretty good stuff, but he's very much boomer mindset, boomer pro-Trump.
Okay.
So, he immediately blocked Kyle, said, I've never in my life following politics for 40 years seen a bigger betrayal than Kyle Rittenhouse. And, this other one from Laverne Spicer, I got to look up here to see
go for it.
How effing dare you turn against President Trump after all he did for you? Trump thought you were a really nice young man, and this whole thing, you can read that up there.
Get off going public again.
I try not to swear on the podcast
Good,
because
you're
my
good, Chris.
mother watches the show, so I'm not going to read
Hi,
some
Mom.
of those statements. But you can see the reaction was strong. Of this is disloyal, this is treasonous. There were people saying, you know what, I wish Kyle had been found guilty of murder. He deserves to be in jail after this. I can't believe we put our necks out for this guy. And to be fair, the MAGA base right wing really did throw a lot of money at his legal defense fund. They stuck up for him. But I want to discuss the claim that Kyle actually owes Donald Trump personally something. Forgetting about the stupidity of him writing in Ron Paul on the ballot, because that's just dumb.
It's useless.
It's a waste.
Yeah, we think Kamala's gonna do your gun rights if she wins.
Exactly.
Yeah, you dumb idiot.
So what does Kyle Rittenhouse owe Donald Trump? I took the liberty of writing out the timeline of events and of the relationship between them. So the shooting was August 25th, 2020. August 26th, Trump addressed the violence in Kenosha, but did not mention Kyle. On the 27th, he said that the case was under investigation and declined to comment. August 31st, he said it seems like he was trying to get away, seems like self-defense. Nothing until October 2020, when Trump indirectly alluded to the incident during a speech. Then in November 2020, during the election, he said, all his stuff about law and order during the ongoing riots. He said that, these violent incidents were, a motivating factor for what was going on. Again, did not mention Kyle. November 19th in 2021, Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted on all charges, and Trump made a statement saying it was a good verdict.
Good.
In November 22nd of 2021, they met at Mar-a-Lago at Kyle's request, and Trump described him in a follow-up post as, quote, a very nice young man. And that's it. That's the relationship between them.
So what does he own?
So it's not like Trump was out there every day rallying in Kyle's defense. And who would expect him to?
Yeah.
He was president for a time, and then he had other stuff going on. It's not like he's out there just stumping for one individual case. But it's not like these guys were best friends.
Yeah.
And certainly the MAGA supporters helped out Kyle a lot. But what's the obligation there? Does that mean that he then owes Trump his vote unquestionably? He was trying to take a principled stance and say, you know what? I don't think Trump is all that good for our Second Amendment rights. I feel like he's being given bad advice. As a single issue voter, apparently, I'm not gonna support him on that. What do you guys think?
I think.
Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
What, you sure?
Yeah, no, for sure. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think Trump even acknowledging the case and then bringing you to the White House, sort of anoints you into this higher level of awareness, because if he didn't mention anything about it at all, this could have a fraction of the support that he had during that time. And, the fact that he got to go there and has a picture with him, he's forever associated with Trump and Tucker. So what he said there wouldn't have been nearly as big of a deal if he didn't have association with them like that. So I think he owes him a lot, because just Trump commenting on the case is a huge deal.
What do you think, Humberto?
I don't vibe with any of this.
Me-
I mean, first of all, what you said, like, they blew this kid out of proportion. We're all for the First Amendment. It's fine. But I don't think him saying that will change anyone's vote. But for people like Cat Turd, they're pundits. And I love Cat Turd. I follow him. I think he does very great posting. It's very scary that someone that is supposed to be 100% on our side has, an opinion that is outside of the mainstream opinion. And to be fair, this kid owes more to the Second Amendment than he owes Trump. Like, if it wasn't for the Second Amendment, this kid be dead right now.
Oh, for sure.
Like, the Second Amendment to this kid is life and death. Like, he wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Second Amendment. So his loyalty lies to the thing that saved his life, literally.
Yeah.
So there's I love Trump. I love Trump since day one. I think he's entertaining. He's pushing the envelope forward. I don't vote, but I think
if you could, you would vote for Trump.
If I could, he'd be high up on my priority list. But at the same time, like if you think about loyalty, like the Second Amendment saved his life.
100%.
And there's a few things that I won't talk in public because we're in the middle of a campaign, and I think it's just shitty behavior to be talking crap when the other option is Kamala Harris.
That's the whole.
At the same time, I think it'd be fair for Cat Turd to block everyone that's voting for Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
you know?
he should.
And that will balance things out.
Yeah.
You know, everyone that doesn't vote for Trump, Cat Turd needs to go there, like, you know, and block every single one
I
of them.
love that.
And
I wish there was an AI thing to do that.
But I think this is getting blown out of proportion. Nobody's gonna change their vote because of Kyle Rittenhouse.
No, not at all. But and I guess I'll say my idea. Rob, what do you think?
We shouldn't bring this election down to one single issue, right? Like, I really don't believe that you look at the 2024 election and go, okay, it's either gun rights or I'm going to vote for Kamala. And I think the other side of that argument should be the same for Democrats. It shouldn't be, I'm pro-life, that's the only reason, or I'm sorry, I'm pro-choice, and that's the only reason why I'm voting blue. There should be other reasons why you cast your vote this year. And some of those reasons should be the economy, illegal immigration, the fentanyl crisis, affordability. So just to try and narrow this down to one single issue disregards the rest of the insanity that's going on in the United States. So what Kyle Rittenhouse is saying is, you know what? Instead of casting my vote for Trump, I'm going to cast my vote and waste my vote for Ron Paul, which in effect actually helps Kamala Harris. So what you're actually saying, Kyle Rittenhouse, is you're okay with open borders? You're okay with inflation being where it's at? You're okay with a government that lies to you? Where the where the fuck is Joe Biden? Where the fuck is the leader of the free world? Does anybody know?
Nope.
Where has he been? All we've read about over the past 2 or 3 weeks has been Kamala Harris being the Democratic nominee. Meanwhile, we're ignoring that for the past 6 weeks prior to that, all we were talking about was invoking the 25th Amendment because Joe Biden clearly had dementia. So do you want to waste your vote and then and allow Kamala Harris and a government that has lied to you for the past 4 years and have hidden Joe Biden's cognitive decline over one issue? I don't. So that's why I'm not voting on one issue this year. I'm voting on a multitude of issues. It doesn't come down to gun rights or women's rights or reproductive rights or the border. For me, it's a combination of all of them. And who has the better stance and the better solution to all of them? Clearly, it's Joe Biden, because Kamala Harris has been in office for 4 years. She has had 4 years to fix this, and she has made this country worse. So do not waste your vote, idiot fuckface Kyle Rittenhouse, and write in Ron Paul. Just like if you're a Democrat, don't vote for Kamala Harris just for women's rights. Look at the rest of the United States. Look at all of the issues that are going on, and then base your vote on that.
And a great point. And I want to answer it, Connor, because I know you want to finish up. But in regard to Joe Biden, we have Israel and Iran. I think they said the ultimatums this week. Yep. They're about to pop off a huge war that we are going to be involved in. Number one,
number drafted.
We just Oh no, yeah. I saw a guy that had one of those forms come to his house, Rob.
Yeah.
The draft thing, the signing up for the the selective service thing was random. And then I'm 46, so I'm Gucci. I already served. But then so Israel, Iran about to kick off potentially a real serious world war that we're all going to have to get involved in, which will turn into a world war. And then we got an attack in Iraq. We got some American troops injured. Not one peep from the sitting president of the United States. So I got to say that. And in regard to Kyle, I mean, listen, anybody right now that's publicly talking, I'm not going to vote for this side, you are openly saying, I can care less about the other side because I can care less. When Kamala Harris has literally said, Kyle, that she said when she's in, she's going to take action to grab the guns. She has said it. It's on camera. She wants to come take your guns. Just because Donald Trump has some advisors or whatever, Donald Trump, trust me, if anybody is pro-Second Amendment, it's Donald Trump, because those sons of bitches are protecting his ass out there. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, single issue voters are literally
the worst.
They're terrorists. They're terrorists.
Worst.
They lack all empathy for everyone else.
Yeah.
It's just my thing. Number one, that's what I'm gonna do. And this decision right here is gonna cost him literally an arm and a leg. He's gonna get drafted. Yep. Hopefully not. And they're gonna send him to Iraq, Afghanistan, or Iran, and he's gonna lose an arm and a leg.
Iran, Israel, somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. So
well, on the loyalty front, I have to also take issue with the fact that the right proved in this situation, as it does in many situations if you pay close enough attention, that they are willing to act just like the left.
Yeah.
If someone on the left breaks from the party platform or decides they're going to go off in a separate direction, they are mercilessly attacked and bullied and beaten back into line. They just did the same. They just did the same thing to Kyle. We have his statement, as he said at the end of his video. No takebacks. There are no takebacks on this.
Yeah, let's put this
There
up.
was a takeback less than 12 hours later. His statement: over the past 12 hours, I've had a series of productive conversations with members of the Trump team, and I am confident that he will be the strong ally gun owners need to defend our Second Amendment rights. My comments made last night were ill-informed and unproductive. I'm 100% behind Donald Trump and encourage every gun owner to join me in helping send him back to the White House.
Take back.
Take back. So his single issue stance proved to not be so principled after all. After merciless bullying by right-wing pundits like Cat Turd and a bunch of other people that you can just search Kyle Rittenhouse on
They
Twitter.
all look like idiots.
And
now.
yes. So we proved, just like the left, that the right will bully people back into line when they step out if they challenge what everyone wants to be the central focus. And this goes back to the point I was trying to make earlier of the issue of making public figures out of private citizens whose only claim to fame is being involved in a situation one time. Kyle should not have the audience that he does. He hasn't done much significant since then other than be the poster boy for Second Amendment rights. This other photo, a few months before the Kenosha shooting. Do you remember Mark and Patricia McCloskey?
Yes.
Those two are
This
bad. Look
photo,
at-
this
they
photo
look
went viral because they were a couple in St. Louis.
Gangster.
A large BLM mob tore down the gates of their gated community, was marching towards the mayor's house. A couple people were allegedly threatening them in their front yard. They went in and grabbed guns to defend themselves.
Gangsters.
They didn't shoot anybody, but they were pointing them at them. And you can tell from the forum, they're not great. Like
No,
Patricia,
she looks like a horrible James Bond.
the recoil is going to send that pistol directly into her face, and Mark doesn't have his rifle shouldered properly, but whatever. No one's expecting someone who's trying to defend their home to be a high-speed tactical operator if they're under pressure. But again, they got this huge platform out of nowhere of all the media attention was on them. Mark McCloskey ran for Congress at one point. I believe he's still politically involved. But that was the only thing they did that made them have a national stage. They were just normal people trying to defend themselves.
Yep.
A whole thing was built up around them. They've been controversial ever since.
It sounds just like David Hogg.
Yeah.
A guy that had one instance, and it was a traumatic one.
Yeah.
Like 17 of your fellow students were shot and killed. That's awful. He wasn't. And yet somehow he became this anti-gun guy, and he's been It's like the opposite of Kyle Rittenhouse. A one-situation scenario gets catapulted to the spotlight, and now every word that he says is gospel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But also every word that he says sucks.
Yeah.
Like they're not. These aren't people who are necessarily qualified to be running a movement. Of course, having everyday average people involved in politics is important. That's how we make change. Having everyday people take up the cause to get involved in government and run for Congress, run for president, whatever. Like that's kind of the founding vision of what the country was meant to be. But at the same time, you have to understand that when you take a normal person and put them out there like that, eventually you're going to be disappointed because that's how a normal person would react in that situation.
Yep.
So
Parents
Well,
all disappointed.
well, Rob, since because we have to move on to the next one. If you want to talk about, and I'll let you finish, Connor, but we have to wrap it up tight. You mentioned David Hogg.
Are you going to read his tweet that he put out earlier?
Yesterday, he put out a tweet, and you guys could look it up yourselves. This was yesterday. This was 19 hours ago. It's Kamala and that weirdo waltz on stage. You want to talk about weird? They're up there, and he writes, "I'm not crying right now. You are." And I write,
God.
"No, David, you're literally the only person crying because you're a beta. Go eat a steak and stop being such a pussy." And it had 30,000 replies. So.
Well, I mean, there you go. That pretty much concludes it.
Okay.
David Hogg shouldn't be talking.
Yeah.
Kyle
Yeah.
Rittenhouse shouldn't
And-
be talking.
Yeah.
So there are no winners in this scenario.
Nah.
When normal people try to get involved in politics and it doesn't go well, we all lose. When the right bullies people who step out of line to force them to fall in line behind Donald Trump, we lose.
Yep.
When the left promotes people like David Hogg who stand on the corpses of 17 of their classmates to build a platform for themselves and get into Harvard, despite having zero qualifications for it other than having a dad in the FBI, everyone loses. So I say all that to say, like, the betrayal, it's not nearly what it was made out to be, and everything sucks.
I agree. And the last thing, Kyle won. How much money did he win?
I have no idea. Did he win the case with?
He won like a couple $100 million, didn't he?
That might still be
100
pending.
million,
I'm not
no.
sure.
What's up, everybody? Vincent O'Shaughnessy here. If you want to see me and the entire Valuetainment crew, we will be at the Vault Conference September 4th through the 7th at the Palm Beach Convention Center, hosted by none other than Patrick Bet-David and featuring Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Guys, this is the place to be. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to level up, do not miss this opportunity. This is the best place to network. If you want tickets, go to thevaultconference.com. Do not waste time. This thing is going to sell out, and I will see you guys there. Peace and love. So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.